Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of C2C. And in this episode, we're going to be going over custom systems that fit you, the owner, your market, and the model that you are running inside of your business. And welcome officially to the month of March. I can't believe it's March 2026 already when I'm filming this episode. We've got a bunch of new episodes for March. We've got a new series that's coming out that I'm really excited to share with you. And alongside new episodes, we've got new background. As you can see, I've got a whole new area of a studio to be able to set up and share some interesting things with you guys. But I always love it whenever I'm creating content, where I create the content. Really indicates the level of energy that I show up. And I think over the past couple of months, it was so interesting because, we're back and forth between in-laws' house, trying to cover stuff. I just came back from my trip to Provo. So a lot of the stuff in the office was kind of in mid-transition, so I couldn't really use it. But now we're set up. We're like 98.5% set up. There's still a sign down there, which I'm excited to share with you guys, but that'll be hopefully in the next future episodes. But yeah, we are here in this office. We are starting some new episodes for March, and the conversation I want to go into is basically systems fitting you and your business. And this comes off of a conversation that I had, which was a couple of consults back to back, and my consults kind of go over a couple of things. Whenever I'm speaking one-on-one with a practitioner or like a health pro, we're either talking about why their marketing isn't working, we're talking about why their team isn't working, or we talk about how we can get them outside of the business. However, in every single one of those conversations, there is a single through theme. And the single through theme is I have worked with someone before. Whether it's an agency, whether it's like a specific guru, usually it's agencies. I've worked with an agency before with this, and all I got was generic stuff for business. And I wanted to do an episode on this. I'm always very conscious, and I want to start the episode with this. I'm always very conscious when I do episodes talking about other ways of coaching or other coaches, period, largely because I believe every coach and every agency is trying to do their best to build your business. They're not intentionally trying to take you on as a client to make you fail. That being said, there are a lot of people in this industry and in coaching, period, who are really focused on mass delivery. And in doing that, they lose a lot of the customization and a lot of the, I should say, nuance that goes into your business, your message, your market, which is why sometimes it doesn't work for you. And here's the key thing when it comes to this is there's a lot of people who will try large scale groups. And it's really easy to see, like a great example of this for training facilities or gym studios is Gym Launch. Gym Launch is a very, very big brand, very reputable, and they're incredibly good at what they do. They've helped probably close to 3,000 or 4,000 training facilities and studios at this point continue to grow and scale their business. That being said, when it comes to be able to build a business, it's not about becoming a watered down version of somebody else. It's about building a business that is in full alignment with you. So if the marketing doesn't make sense for you, if the business structure doesn't align with the way that you want to live your life, if the way that you're making money or the prices that you're charging doesn't feel in alignment with you, or the level of team that you have, like whether it's size or the amount of effort you have to put into that team, if there's any piece that is not connected to how you want to run and operate things, it's just not going to work. And on top of that, depending on where you live, geographic location, the size of your city that you're in, where your facility is, all of these things affect whether or not the cookie cutter stuff will work anyways, let alone whether or not you're in alignment with it. And both of those things have to work. Whenever you are taking something on for your business, whether it's a new marketing initiative or maybe you're bringing on a new team member, it's got to work for your business. It has to make money. And then the second thing is it has to be in alignment with you. Because you will find out very quickly, if you haven't found out already, that as a business owner, you can do things that make you a bucket ton of money, but you can hate it. You can be like, no, I don't want to run another free 6-week challenge. No, I don't want to run another 21-day transformation program. No, I don't want to take benefits because people who take benefits don't renew, and they're the type of clients who don't follow up with all the post care, or they don't do the stretches and stuff like that. Regardless of what it is, both have to be true. You have to have something that works, and you have to have something that is in alignment. And usually when people go to work with an agency, or they go and they call a marketing company and they're like, run ads for me, or can you get me a list of leads for this part, or can you help me fill a program or an offer? Usually these people are going to come and they're going to give to you an offer or a design or a blueprint that was built for somebody else. It's not technically built for you. It's not custom. And that's how an agency has to work. When you think about working with 300 or 400 clients at the same time, you do the same thing with your programs. I mean, think about it. You can have 400 people in a program and say, well, we're going to do the assessment the same way. We're going to build the client delivery the same way. We're going to give them access to an online portal. And then that online portal is going to have maybe some stretching routines, all of their exercises, things that they have to do in terms of nutrition. But you optimize and you systemize it for you to be able to handle volume. And this is where the way you operate inside of your practice and the way you operate inside of your business is different than the way you're looking to be coached. And what I mean by that is, are you looking to be one of 400 where you're a number, where you're on a group coaching call and 50 or 60 people are there and you're not getting that one-on-one support? Or are you looking to be the one or the select few people who it's like, when I'm speaking to that professional, when I'm working with that person, I know that all of the information they're sharing for me is custom to me. It's my solution. It's my situation. It's my challenges. And so the blueprint becomes yours. And there's so much that I want to go into this, but we'll start with why I'm bringing this up. So a lot of the through themes inside of the consultations that I have is we bring on an agency to do a specific thing, and then the agency delivers this outrageous promise. We guarantee you in our contracts $50,000. We guarantee in your contracts 1,000 leads. And it's something so audacious, you go, okay, well then what if? And the what if is usually something like, we'll get your money back, or we'll continue to work with you for free until you do, a bunch of claims and stuff like that. Now, the claim is not the first outrageous part. You know intuitively, the moment they go and they give you that claim, they're going to say something like, you get the money back or you get this thing back, and you'll never get it back. I promise you, I have yet to meet or make a connection with a single agency that if you don't deliver those promises, or if you don't deliver on those results, that they will refund you or they will do what they say. Because there's always conditions. And the conditions are things that you'll be able to control for the most part, but they're pretty ambiguous conditions. Like, you have to implement as fast as you can whenever we say stuff. You have to be posting 6 times a day for 60 days. You have to have a minimum ad spend of $3,000. And sure as shit, when you take a look at all of the conditions that they have inside of that agreement, there is going to be a condition that you don't meet, because that's the whole point. The whole point is that guarantee is not a real guarantee. What it is a bait, a hook, if you will, to get you in, because you think worst case scenario, I'm either A, going to get my money back, or B, they're going to keep working with me to fix this challenge. So to the bait and switch. The bait and switch is a classic marketing tactic that a lot of people use when it comes to ads. You put out an irresistible offer that is so big that someone goes, wow, like I can't not pass up on this. And that's exactly what an agency is. An agency wants you to not pass up on the offer. So when they go and they declare it, they can get a close that same day. The challenge becomes, can you ethically deliver that offer consistently over and over again? I would say maybe. Just like in health, if you're a practitioner and you say, I guarantee you, once you sign up in a 12-week period, at the end of the 12 weeks, you are going to be back pain free. If not, I'm going to give you all of your money back. Can you guarantee that? No, you can't. And as a matter of fact, you're probably going to lose your license. Can you get a rough idea of what some of the results are going to be through the process? For sure. Yes. Yes, you can. Like as an example, when I had my weight loss company for hormones, and we had gone through the process of working with the 4,400 people, you get to an understanding that people lose about 2.2 to 3 pounds a week. So you can say you can expect to lose between this and this, but we don't guarantee results. We can't. We can't because ethically, I'm not here to put you in a state of scarcity or urgency. And that's what my real point is. The real point is people who take on a guarantee, who are banking on the guarantee. And maybe you've done this before. You've banked on the guarantee as a business owner. You're like, I need leads so bad. They've guaranteed this. And at least if it doesn't work, I have the guarantee back. When you bank on the guarantee, you automatically put yourself in a place of scarcity and urgency. And you're asking, well, what is this place of scarcity or urgency? It's when you have to force a result to happen or else something bad is going to happen. You're going to feel a negative way. You're going to have a negative experience. It's going to cost you 3 or 4 months of runtime on your business. Maybe it's the difference between you making profit or not in the 6 months that you signed up for that process. You start banking on that. You start becoming very attached to the result, and it actually means that you're going to have a harder time showing up for the things that this agency needs you to do. Now, the agency has to do this because they want shorter conversion windows for clients and they want people to sign up on the call, which means when they're speaking with you, they want you to hop on, say yes right away. They sign you right then and there. They get the money up front, and they're either one, hoping you don't pay, or two, they're hoping that if for some reason the guarantee does fall through, that they can delay, and stall until maybe the next person signs up. And there are tons of agencies where you will see reviews or you'll hear experiences of people who go, it didn't work for me. I didn't get my money back. I didn't see the results. And so now I have to try something else. And that sucks. That sucks as both a practitioner myself and a business owner and a business coach now. It sucks because when you hear that, the entire purpose of trying to get someone started, whether it's on their health journey or even on their business journey and forward them along, the entire purpose is to get them to grow and to continue to see results, to actually achieve a transformation. Like, I don't want to take on clients and do a bunch of work with them and then have them fail. One, it looks bad on me, but two, you're going to spend a lot of time, energy, effort, and money, and you're not actually going to see a result. And that freaking sucks. There is nothing worse than joining a program or trying to start something and then you're unsuccessful with it. And if you do that enough times, you start becoming very discouraged and you actually start losing confidence and trust in yourself. You start thinking, did I make the right decisions? Is this something that I can actually be successful in? Or is this going to be something I'm always going to be bad at? You start creating these stories and then the narratives further reinforce why it won't be successful for you. Now, from the agency's perspective, yes, it helps them with their closing, but also too, like I said at the very beginning of this episode, I'm a big believer in being positive. I do not think that these people intend to fail you, but I do think that they're intending to sign up the most amount of people possible, and they're also intending to streamline their process. So just like they've streamlined their sales, they're going to have to streamline their delivery. So what does that mean for your practice and what does that mean for your clinic? What that means is you're going to be getting a blueprint or a system or a process that is very generic and that doesn't have a lot of leeway for customization because they will do whatever they can to build a process that they know will generate a result. And at some point it is proven. Going back to the example of Gym Launch is fantastic and a proven process of delivering to one specific person, gyms. I can tell you when I was in that program, I learned a lot, but it didn't work for me in my boutique studio because I was charging $1,200 a month when the gyms were charging $99 a month. The marketing looks different. The promotions look different. The way that leads and clients and trust take time to build, that looks different because it's totally different offer structure and it's a totally different model structure. Doesn't mean that the program was bad. No, there was nothing wrong with the program. I learned how to sell. I learned a lot. But the whole process and the reason why I'm sharing this example is not because of the name of the thing. It's really just to share with you guys that through the process of agency work, when you bring on an agency for anything, marketing, team management, how to run your business, the model, You are going to be put in a system that is proven to some point, but it may not necessarily be right for you. And this is where I want to go into. There's a lot of nuances to building business. And where people tend to get stuck is they get stuck in a couple of areas. The first is they get stuck in cookie cutter coaching, where the offer, the process, the program, all of that ends up being the same thing. The second is generic marketing systems, where the way that they're putting ads out, the way that they run ads, your landing pages, the nurture systems, those are all the same. Even when it comes to the offers, going through offers that work, let's say, in the US, but not in Canada, or vice versa, or an offer that works really well in a certain part of the city, but in your part of the city, it's very saturated, so it doesn't work well. When it comes to content, it's doing things like, instead of building a brand around your company, maybe they're telling you to create more influencer style content. And you're like, well, that doesn't really make any sense because I've got 6 practitioners and it's only showing me, or I've got 5 coaches and I'm the only one doing the content, or I'm promoting to countries that I don't even have any services. It could also be software, where they're recommending you have to use this software this way. You got to sign up with 17 systems in order for us to build your business successfully. And for some people, that process will work. Of course, if you are in that specific box or that little area of what they built out. If you fall outside of that, however, that's where you're going to come across these problems that I hear in a lot of the consultations. The marketing didn't work. The model is broken. I don't want to do stuff for free. I don't feel alignment with it. And this is where you have to start looking into how you can build a business of your own design. And there's a couple of areas that we have to look at that determines whether or not an agency is a good fit for us or working with someone like me is a good fit. Because whenever we are working with businesses and whenever we're looking at the way a business runs, it's not a specific playbook that we are putting out to people. Yes, there's key methods, I should say, where it's like everyone needs client converting content, everyone needs nothing but service way to sell, everyone needs a fast launch strategy which they can promote. But the way we approach those strategies and the ways that we design these systems for businesses, it's all different. And here's how you can tell where you need the difference. So the first place we'll start is with sales. When it comes to sales, you have to ask yourself, how do I want to sell? And does the way I sell now, is that in alignment with the majority of the way that my industry sells? So I will give you a great example of this. When we had our physical location at the studio, we did consultations, and the consultations we had at about 30 minutes. My business coach at that time was like, hey, you need to be in, again, it was an agency model. They were like, hey, you need to have a sales deck. You need to run everyone through the sales deck. Everyone says the same thing the same way. And when I was having these consultations, I found that they weren't consultations or conversations. They were really just a giant sales pitch. And especially in the health and wellness industry, people know when they're being sold to, and it left a lot of people feeling a very bad taste, where I actually had someone in a conversation with me be like, is this a pitch? Like, is this what you're actually doing? Like, you're trying to sell me the service? Because I'm here for support. And I recognized right in that moment, like, I don't feel in alignment with this. There's something about the way of selling here that's just not fully in alignment with me. I didn't like the sales deck. As a matter of fact, I tried my hardest to push away from it as far as I could. And then there came to a point where I said to myself, you know what, maybe I'm just going to drop the sales deck and I'm just going to have conversations, and I'm still going to use a process, but I'm going to have a specific set of questions that I ask. And if they're a good fit, I'm going to sign them up. My sales doubled. The close rate doubled. I was closing like 2 out of 10 people, and then I started closing around the 50 to 60%. And the only thing that changed was I was doing a process that was in alignment with me. So I'll have you ask yourself that same question. Are you selling like the majority of the way that your industry is selling? Or do you feel in alignment selling a different way? Another great example is the example of my wife. When my wife went to online coaching, and she was the first one of the two of us to bring her business online, she came up to me and we were in the office that was right across the consultation room. And she was like, hey, I've decided something. I don't want to do consults anymore, so I'm not going to do them. And I said to myself, well, that's outlandish. How can you sign somebody up for support with binge eating if you're not going to have a consultation with them? She's like, I'm going to have DM conversations and I'm just going to tell them what's involved and they're going to sign up. I was like, really? How does that even work? Like, no one is doing that. Everyone does consultations because that's how you get people signed up for higher ticket programs. And she said, nope, doesn't matter. And I said, what are you going to charge? She says, $3,000. I go, okay, this is very interesting. The very next day, it was like 10:30 in the morning. She walks downstairs. She's like, hey, guess what? I got my first client. And I was like, really? And she goes, yep. And they signed up via a link. And I was like, holy shit. And since then, she's never done consults. Now, the question is, why did it work for her? It worked for her because she had a system, for sure. She had a structure and a strategy and the questions that she asked, but she also had alignment. She was doing it her way, which is why it worked for her. Now, sales is more than just how you sell. It's also how you follow up leads and how you generate leads. So my second question is the way you are generating leads and nurturing your leads right now, is that the way that your industry is doing it? The other question is, what would you do differently if you could do it differently? Could you have maybe more conversations, more personalized messages? Would you skip the whole area of online leads altogether? Would you do ads? Would you do organic? What is it about the specific thing that you don't like? And if it's totally different from somebody else, what would you do differently? Those two questions pose a really great frame as to whether or not a marketing agency or outsourcing your sales to an agency is going to work for you. Like, great example, we don't work with churn and burn clinics. I call them churn and burns, where it's like the physiotherapy that goes through like 65 people an hour. We don't work with them. All they're doing is looking to fill beds. They work with people 6 minutes at a time. They're not the type of people we work with. And in going through that process, they don't care really about the client. What they care about is the money. So their marketing looks different, the process looks different, and it works for agencies because they'll take all kinds of benefits and they'll pull everything in because they're just looking for the next charge. That's it. And when they're looking towards that, it's easy for them to fit really well into cookie cutter sales and cookie cutter marketing initiatives because that's what they were designed and scaled for. They were designed and scaled for low ticket, people who pay a lot less, for benefits usage, and for people who have a lot of coverage inside of their jobs or inside of their careers. And it was built and designed for people who get in on very low offers or free offers or $0 stuff. And if you want to run your business that way, there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally up to you. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's what makes cookie cutter marketing. Now, looking towards the teams. When you are building a team around your business, we go back to the same question. Does your team look like the other teams inside of your industry, or is your team different? If so, why? Great example for me was myself. I mean, I ran a team in the facility where we had a lot of team members, but I didn't like having a large team. And I kept on being told by all of the people around me inside a business, you need to have a giant team. You need to have 10 coaches. You need to have an HR manager. You need to have 3 to 4 admin staff. You need to have 2 assistant coaches. It was this whole structure that I didn't really buy into. But because I had invested in the model with the coach, I had to follow through with it because that's what it took for them to get the results through them. So then all of a sudden, I created a very large team that I had to be on back-to-back team meetings with, and there was tons of conversations and different assessments I had to do with them. And to me, it didn't really make sense. There was a lot of team bloat, and for the size of facility that I had, 1,600 square feet, I didn't need that many people. As a matter of fact, if I only had 4 people through that facility, I could have ran it better. And so that's what I did. I cut back the staff. Instead of working through volume, I changed the way that my team operates. They were able to help 6 people to 8 people at one time through semi-private. A higher level of care. I increased the price to compensate them for the higher level of care and for the level of their effort. And then at the end of that, guess what? I had less of a team. I didn't have the bloat that I had, and I was making more profit. My team looked different than the people in my industry because I operated differently. I didn't want to be inside of my business every single day. I didn't want to have to check into the facility in order for me to then see the results that I wanted to see inside of my business. I wanted to be able to grow, run, and build a business where I could work from home, where I could have a couple of days where I didn't go in and there wasn't a team meeting or there wasn't someone waiting for me to give them this and that, because it is my business. And that's the key when we look towards the team. It's all about thinking about the team you want to build. And that's the second question for teams. If you could have the dream team that you desired, whatever that looked like, an admin, a full-time content creator, 2 assistant coaches, 3 other practitioners. If you could have the dream team, what would that look like? And once you have that dream team, does it look like the other teams that are inside other facilities like yours? If it's not, then outsourcing teams to an agency doesn't make sense. Because again, you're not going to build it in a spot that's going to be in alignment with you. It's not going to work. Now, very closely connected to teams is the model. Man, so many practitioners build a model that they don't like, but when they start business, they don't know business. They just know being a practitioner or being a health coach. So they take on a model that their business coach recommends. They say, you definitely have to build your business this way. So as a health pro, you don't give a lot of thought to it. And you say, okay, cool. I'm going to run my business model the way you say because I trust you and that's what's going to make money. But being a part of an agency, you're now being put into a cookie cutter business model. So what happens through the cookie cutter business model? Your programs are the same. The time frames are the same. Your price points are very low or they're not where you want them to be. The way that you're delivering to the client is not in alignment with you. And all of a sudden you're running this business and 4 or 5 months in, you go, something's not right, but I don't know what. I'll tell you what is your business model. You have clients you're going through, but you don't like the way you're delivering to them. You have people that are signing up, but you're not a fan of the price points that you have. You're finding that you're capped in very weird places, but the structure that you've designed doesn't allow you to scale or grow anymore. And this is where you have a model problem. So again, you have to ask yourself, how do you want to build your business? And this is where it looks different for everybody. For me, I wanted the freedom to be able to travel, which is why we ported everything online. We could have stuck with the physical facility. It was working very well, but it wasn't in alignment with me. That's why we got rid of the lease, and that's why we moved everything to online. It's what allowed me to, over the span of that year, serve more than 800 people because we pivoted online. If I had stayed physically in that facility, I maybe would have only served 200 people extra that year. And that's the difference. So the business model that you have, I know right now you can't ask yourself, does it look like other people? Because it probably does. You built a model already. The question that you should be asking yourself with your model is, can you scale with it? If you were to take on another 100 people right now, can you actually grow? Or would your team fall apart? Would your sales fall apart? Would the way you're delivering with your clients break down? Would your nurture be non-existent? Would you struggle with the lead follow-up or the lead flow? These are all important questions because guess what? They dictate how successful your model is going to be. And here's the thing. Every model has a cap for sure. A cap on clients, a cap on delivery, requires a certain amount of team members. But this is where you have to decide what business model makes sense for you. Because if you want to be able to have every weekend off, you can't design a model where clients come in on the weekends. If you want to be able to serve more people than your city, you can't design a model where they're locked into a facility or location. If you want to serve people on a very intimate basis, like one-on-one, you can't then be having offers or programs or processes where you're serving 10 to 35 people in that 1 hour. And this is where you're going to have both an alignment issue and a business function issue. The alignment issue is you're doing something that you don't really want to do inside of your business. You don't like the way you're selling. You don't like the way you're offering your offers to your clients. You don't like the way you're creating your client delivery. You're not a fan of it. And it's so interesting because I have business owners that approach me all the time and they're like, oh man, like I don't want to be a practitioner anymore. I've fallen out of love with it. I just want to build this business, but I feel like I'm trapped. I'm trapped because I have to be the one doing the delivery because they designed their business that way. Or I'm trapped because every time a team member leaves, I have to step right in. It's a prime example that the model is not in alignment with how you want it to be. And this is why you have to change it. If you ask yourself those questions through those areas, and the answer is always, I want it to look different than the standard. I want it to look different than the way everyone else is running their business, then an agency is never going to work for you. Point blank. Because the only way an agency thrives is by creating a streamlined process that they can fit in everyone into in order to give a result. So that's why up until this point, the agencies haven't worked. And then what do? Typically, you blame the agency. They made all these promises and they couldn't deliver. No, they had every intention to deliver and help you build your business. They just can't get you the same level of result unless you follow their process to a T. And even if you do, there's no guarantee that that model is going to work for you. That's why, hands down, every business has to have its own strategy. It has to have its own offers. It has to be run and designed in a way that's in alignment with the owner and something that the whole team can get behind. So that way, when you're doing something like running a promotion or creating a new program or delivering to a client, it is something you can fully embody. 3 things really changed for me inside of my business. The first thing, I started to have a shit ton of fun when I made these changes. I wasn't stressed out anymore. Every day I was in full alignment with what I was doing. I was having shit ton of fun. The second thing was I was able to stop worrying about money because I was being able to be present in everything that I did. Because every time I was fired up about what I was doing. And then the third thing is I was able to design a business that was uniquely mine. That was for me, not something I had to kind of fit my ass into, like a ridiculously tight pair of jeans, or that corset in order to wear the nice shirt. It's like, no, you designed it for you, and so it's going to fit the lifestyle that you want. So I was able to travel. I was able to take on other things like speaking and, still writing the book that I'm writing. I'm able to do these things because I made the switch. And I started doing things my own way. And this is why I created this episode. Because in business, you are either a watered down copy of someone else, or you're something that's uniquely yours that's going to thrive and succeed. You can't be both. You can't copy an offer, copy a sale, copy a strategy, and expect it to get the results as if it was something brand new. No, the only way you can get brand new results, unique results, and high level, exciting results is if you do something that is uniquely to you, which means you have to market in a way that's going to attract your people. You have to create client delivery in a way that gets your team excited. You have to follow up with leads and design a system that's going to be manageable for you and the life you want to be able to create. And this is where you have to be very conscious about the things that you take on and the people that you hire. Even me, like I said, if you look through all of those questions and you said to yourself, yeah, my team looks like everyone else's team. Yeah, my delivery is everyone else's delivery. Yeah, I'm quite content with that and I just want to continue to grow, and you fit that cookie cutter box. Go agency all the way. Keep trying, keep finding those people, and you're going to find a person, aka someone like Gym Launch, that's really going to take you to the next level, because the agency thing will work for you. But somehow in the back of your mind, I think you've already tried that. And this is where you have to really take a look and you have to say to yourself, well, if I've tried that and it hasn't worked, am I really in alignment with this? Do I really want to build my business this way? Just because it worked for someone else, or it worked for one of their other clients that they shared with you, or it worked for your friend or a colleague that who used the agency, does not necessarily mean that it will work for you, because it's not designed for you. Your business is one of the very few things in your life that's uniquely yours. Like, there's going to be a lot of things that you have to follow the rules on. It's whether you're in a club or you're in a group or you play on a sports team, there's going to be so many things that are going to have cookie cutter in it, that are going to have follow the leader in it, where you're just going to have to go with the flow. There are so many things like that already. But your business in your life is one of the few things that is uniquely yours. So why the hell would you hurry and rush to make it a carbon copy of someone else's business just because you're trying to force a result? It doesn't make any sense. And in the long run, you're going to end up to the same thing where, you're in front of a person having a conversation with someone like me, and you're like, I've tried the 8 things. Now I actually have to build something that's uniquely mine. And that's actually why I went off on my own. And that's actually why when I started doing the business coaching, I didn't want to build an agency, because my team was like, hey, we could really streamline this and do this. And if we use the same software for everybody. And I said, nope, don't want to do that. Don't want to do that, because then we are no better. We just continue to follow the same process. But everyone is different. Their business needs are completely separate. Their goals are completely different. Their outcome at the end, whether they want to sell the business, whether they want to give the business to a partner, whether they want the business to pay them in perpetuity, all of those things are different for each person. So if they're different, how and why should I create a process that forces them to streamline everything just to make it easier for me? And this is why we don't take on 300 or 400 businesses in a year. I don't want that. My cap is 55 businesses. I've done the math. I've seen the structure. And 55 businesses a year are the people that I'm going to work with. Because I still want to speak. I still want to do all of these other really excited things. I've got my Meant to Grow retreat that's coming up this summer, which is awesome. All of this stuff is stuff that I can do alongside because I have the time. And because I've built a business my way. So I'm going to wrap this episode up, guys, but for this, you should really be asking yourself those questions to determine whether or not you need to bring on a business coach or a mentor, like someone who's going to work with you one-on-one, or if you should just stick with agencies, because agencies aren't broken. There are a lot of really great agencies out there that provide results. But that being said, if you're in this weird sticking point where you're always having these issues, it might fall back to the fact that you're just doing cookie cutter stuff all the time and it's not meant or designed to work with you. And that's something you should consider. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to an episode of C2C. And one thing I will say as well, too, is a lot of you guys are not subscribed to the C2C channel. I love the fact that tons of people watch, which is really great. I didn't mention the series. Should I? Nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to mention the new series in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. But a lot of you guys have not subscribed to the channel. So if you want the update of the newest episode without seeing it on Instagram or LinkedIn and Facebook, you can actually subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn your notifications on, and then every time I post an episode, you're going to be the first one to get it, which means you're the first one to be able to see the benefit and make the changes. I encourage you guys to do that. And of course, I love all of the support. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.